Yeah, I mean, sometimes people know a little bit about it,
Mhm.
some of which may or may not be accurate. When people are confused, they just don't do anything, right?
This is true.
From my experience, once people do this one time, they realize, that's a very simple process. It had a massive impact. It may have wiped out my 2025 tax liability. And then they do it routinely and they tell their friends about it too.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guests, Belinda Prattis and Paul Correa, are cost seg advisors with CSSI Services. Belinda and Paul, welcome to the show.
Hi,
Thank
Dylan.
you.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here.
It's great to have both of y'all on here. I always like to start off at the top of the show by asking guests how they got into real estate. In your case, how did you get into the cost segs?
Paul, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I've been doing this 21 years. Cost segregation at the time was kind of a brand new thing. I remember people back then thought it was some kind of a big, scary, weird thing. It was a bit of a challenge then, but today it is fairly routinely done, but it just has been a great opportunity. It's a wonderful niche. We estimate there's about 6 million people out there that should be doing this that are not. It just has been a really good thing. I do this personally. I'm an investor myself and have done this on a property of my own. So,
Yep.
and
And
Belinda, this
how
is
did
your
you get
first
into this
year. Do you
space?
wanna-
I'm sorry?
How did you get into this space?
So I kind of stumbled into it. I was a transaction coordinator for creative investors. And in fact, you guys interviewed one of my colleagues and close friends, Chelsea Westover, a fantastic TC, about in September. And so she and I used to do the same thing. And she and I actually were regional leaders for the Northeast region for top tier TC. And we had 2 guests on to talk about cost segregation. And one of them was a friend of mine. And that friend of mine said, you're really passionate about teaching investors the ins and outs of things, especially new investors. I really think that cost seg is something else that you could kind of put in your toolbox and teach them. And so that's how I came about. And then Paul and I met when he was giving a presentation here in Albuquerque. And we've been tag teaming ever since.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
I want to ask both of y'all about the cost seg space. And Paul, we were talking a little bit before hopping on here. There's so many use cases for cost seg. I come from the background of working with distressed property, working with fix and flippers and the like. But I've also had cost seg people on the show who do this, on a much grander scale. You're talking about multi-use commercial, medical office space, and so on and so forth. When is a good time for someone to be looking at cost seg?
Yeah, I would think and this is a misconception, I think, out there. Some people think that the planets have to line up for this to make sense a certain way, but really everybody should be doing this who has acquired a building in the last 10, sometimes 15 years. It is not planning on selling it, that has a tax liability. With the new 100% bonus depreciation, we're even seeing this work on small $100,000 rental
This is
properties
true.
too.
Yeah. I'm actually
And of
helping
course,
someone
on the
right now
bigger
with
end,
that.
we get into the $100 million properties too. But
Mhm.
there's really very few people these days that would not benefit. And again, assuming those parameters are met, that they've got a tax liability. They're not flipping it. They're not planning on selling it. And they haven't had it for 25 years. As far as the building type, there's really no building type that we haven't helped. I mean, I've been involved in studies for charter schools, churches, post office buildings, if it's been owned by a for-profit owner. So the building type is really kind of a detail that doesn't even matter that much. I mean, granted, there's different benefits that come out of different buildings.
Yes.
I want to ask you specifically about, mentioned a couple different asset classes, single family homes, mentioned even like churches, office space, larger, commercial.
Airplane hangar.
Is there a time frame that folks have to start looking at this? Like, let's say they bought the home 5 years ago. Is it now too late for them to look at this?
It's not, because
No, it is not too late. You can take that missed benefit in the current tax year without amending past returns. They're the building owners, yay or we, for an added fee, we would do what's called a 3115 change of depreciation method form. So that's another misconception. There's even CPAs that are not aware of that. You mentioned 5 years ago, that was 2020. That was the original 100% bonus depreciation era. So if somebody missed it, we can go back and grab that 100% bonus benefit from 20 and apply it to the 2025 tax return.
Wow.
And by the way, you don't have to have the study done in 25. You just need to do it before 25 is filed, which for some people could be October of 26.
that's true.
Right.
Go ahead.
There's a lot that goes into this space, and when I talk about cost seg, I think a lot of people will look at this and they'll be looking at tax strategies as well, because they both go hand in
They do.
hand. Of course, that's the primary benefit.
Mhm.
I have this question for you, Belinda. In your background working in the transaction coordination space, did you ever come across folks who, or I imagine you did, who were not aware that they had access to these types of tools, but they really could have benefited in so many ways?
I would say 9 out of 10 investors that I worked with were not aware, and that's a pretty alarming rate.
Right. I mean, they're effectively missing out on dollars that are theirs.
Yes.
Do you think, and as you've had more experience in the space, do you think that it's because of a lack of awareness for it, or is it because people think that it wouldn't apply to them?
I think it's both of those things. And in
I would-
addition, a third
I'm sorry, go
factor
ahead,
would be
Belinda.
misinformation that's out there. So I think it's definitely becoming more one of those buzzwords that is going through, especially the creative investing community right now. It's one of those things like, I feel like I should know about this, but I don't know. And who do I turn to ask? Paul, you were about to say something.
Yeah.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people know a little bit about it,
Mhm.
some of which may or may not be accurate. When people are confused, they just don't do anything, right?
This is true.
From my experience, once people do this one time, they realize, that's a very simple process. It had a massive impact. It may have wiped out my 2025 tax liability. And then they do it routinely, and they tell their friends about it too. So I get a question sometimes. People ask, well, how come my CPA never told me about it? Which my response is, well, you need to ask them that.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is the Journal of Accountancy says CPAs should routinely be recommending this to their clients and their tremendous tax benefits. It's always better to have a dollar and the use of it today than in 39 years when a dollar is going to be worth much less.
Very
So
true.
that's kind of it in a nutshell. The big real estate movers and shakers are all over this. The top 4 accounting firms, they've got their own cost seg departments. But when it comes to the smaller investor, there's a lot of people that they start out in business with let's say an enrolled agent, a very simple guy, and then they get bigger, but they still have the little accountant that is not telling them about this stuff. That's kind of my observation.
I want to pivot a bit here and ask you about folks who may be thinking, well, how much is going to go into this? What's the benefit that I'm going to get out of it? Is there a way to estimate your savings without having the full cost seg done? Or do you really have to commit to it and then you're able to see, well, this is what I could potentially save?
No, we can absolutely
Yeah,
run
they're not going into this blindly with just some very basic information, which is property address, cost basis, when it was acquired. We can run an estimate. There's no cost or obligation. And that's based on a model of, let's say, 10,000 apartment buildings that we've done. So that gives you a pretty good ballpark idea of the benefit as well as the fee.
Yeah.
If the numbers make sense and they want the money, we would get started. We take half the payment when we start. We ask for whatever backup they have, which could be an appraisal, could be a survey, it could be plans, and get the cost basis less land. We send somebody out there to take pictures, and from that point, the building owner is out of the picture. 2 to 4 weeks later, we're done with the report. And when the CPA sets up the new depreciation schedule, they just drop in our numbers. In the unlikely event the IRS ever asks, where'd you get the numbers? They show them the report and they go away. And by the way, we really do not have IRS issues. I think because of our sheer size, they know who we are and that we do it right. That's not the low-hanging fruit for them to make trouble. They almost would have to do another study on top of ours to dispute it.
I want to ask you specifically, and I'd like to get your perspective on this one as well, Belinda. In the developer space, when we're talking about, building ground up construction, new subdivisions, for instance, it makes sense immediately that, hey, every developer should be doing some type of cost seg if they plan on holding the properties. Is that across the board? Are all developers doing this, or are some developers missing the boat?
I think in addition to cost seg, a lot of developers can tap into the 179, right? Paul?
Yeah, that's something that could benefit them also, right? But I would answer that question. This is an across the board thing that they would want to take a serious look at.
Yes,
if
so
they're
yes.
going to be holding that property.
Yeah, especially if they're holding it.
I have been seeing more of that, which is interesting because when I think of building out subdivisions, I think, well, you've got to have the ability, you've got to have some deep pockets to hold on to a subdivision. But I've now spoken with a number of builders, who are not national builders, that are very much regional, but they are looking at, developing either single family homes or townhomes and holding on to them long term, where it just seems like from an outsider looking in, hey, you need a cost seg for that if you're gonna be holding on to that.
Yeah.
I do want to pivot here a little bit and ask you specifically, maybe regionally. Are there areas of the country where you're seeing more interest in cost seg, or is this across the board, across states, developers everywhere looking at cost seg?
I would say it's everywhere.
There is no part of the country that people want to overpay taxes.
Absolutely.
There are parts of the country that there's a lot less knowledge, just because, for instance, I operated in New Mexico for a while. I was the only guy there in the whole state, so there was less knowledge. You go to Denver, there was probably 10 providers that had boots on the ground there.
Right. And like being in New Mexico now,
Belinda, do you
I
have
want
an
to
opinion?
one here now. So
Yeah.
But
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
I want to ask you specifically, Paul, you mentioned you've been doing this for quite some time. So you've seen, it grow in popularity. And I still think, it could grow some more so that every developer, every person that's involved in real estate transactions is aware of it. When you were just getting started in this space, what was cost-seg like? And, when you were explaining what it is to people, were they aware of it? Or was it truly met with some level of like, hey, I didn't know that's a thing?
Yeah, that was the big challenge back then. Even the CPAs didn't know about it, which, that doesn't mean they're bad CPAs, but there's been an average of one change in the tax code a day the last 10 years. So it's very hard for them to keep up, although I do think they should at least be willing to be educated. But yeah, no, that was their reaction. This is risky. It's going to trigger an audit. Are you sure? But this is in the IRS tax code. This is an IRS black and white issue. If you go to the audit technique guide on cost segregation, they spell it out and they list, I think it's 9 methodologies. And we use the engineering-based approach, which is number 1 on their list and the one they prefer and like to see the most. So there are lesser methodologies you want to watch out for. The do-it-yourself ones come to mind. That's basically an estimate that's at much higher risk for an audit and is not going to get the full benefit.
Yeah.
So that's something, unfortunately, people, the only thing they look at is the price tag. But as one of my CPA partners said, shortcuts are the long way.
Indeed.
I want to ask you maybe a granular question about cost seg. When you're talking about, an engineer-based analysis versus, do it yourself, what are the steps of cost seg analysis? What's the typical duration, let's say for like a small multifamily apartment complex or something like this, like 16 units, just throwing out, ballpark figures. What's the general process like?
So
What would our study process be like? Oh,
yeah.
Belinda, go ahead.
I was going to say, hopefully you've gotten an estimate from us so you know kind of a ballpark of how much you're going to save. But like Paul said earlier, we would send out someone to take photos of your facilities and either get from you a site plan, maybe some blueprints. Like right now I'm working with someone. What did we get from her? We got her tax assessment and her depreciation schedule from last year, right? And then the engineering team will reverse engineer the building into its depreciable components. And so there are several buckets. Some things depreciated 5 years, some things at 7, some things at 15. And what they're trying to figure out is what in your buildings in these 16 units fall into which buckets, right? So these are the things that depreciate much faster than everything else, let's say. And so the duration you were asking, right now, it's about 2 to 4 weeks. Come mid-December, for the folks who are trying to get it done before the end of the year, it'll probably take a bit longer. And then in January, you're looking at about 5 to 6 weeks completion because then everybody's wanting to get their cost seg study done before their taxes.
Got it. Thank you for that information. We are coming up on time here, Belinda and Paul. Where can folks go to reach out to you? How can they learn more about CSSI? How can folks get in contact with you?
Sure. So I will share my and Paul's information. There's mine. Here's Paul's information. I'm not sure how much of this you're seeing. There you go.
Yeah, we got it. We
All right.
stayed, yep.
And there's mine. And that's really it. So you said we're coming up on time, right? Can you hear me?
Pardon me? Did you get? Yeah.
Yes, we saw that. We saw that. Yeah, yes, we are coming up on time. Thank you both for coming on the show here today. Belinda, Paul, thank you so much for coming on the show here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.